morning, Los Angeles split in two. LeBron James walked out of Los Angeles. But the Lakers did not let Bronny James walk with him, and that single decision may have just exposed the franchise's real plan for life after the King. On the morning of the 30th of June 2026, the basketball world was still trying to process one sentence that felt almost impossible to say out loud. LeBron James was moving on from the Los Angeles Lakers. After 8 years, one championship, endless headlines, playoff heartbreak, Hollywood pressure, and one of the most watched eras in modern NBA history, LeBron had reportedly told the franchise it was time to close the door. But before fans could even catch their breath, another detail slipped into the story. Bronny James' contract with the Lakers became fully guaranteed. Not partially protected, not a maybe, not a quiet roster placeholder, fully guaranteed, and that is where this story becomes bigger than a contract. Because on the same morning LeBron's Lakers chapter appeared to end, Bronny's Lakers chapter was being locked in. The father stepped away from the building, the son stayed inside it, and suddenly, Los Angeles was staring at one of the strangest, most emotional, and most complicated transitions the NBA has seen. For 2 seasons, Bronny James was never judged like a normal young player. He was not treated like the 55th pick in the draft. He was not given the patience most late second-rounders get. Every missed shot became a debate. Every G League assignment became a headline. Every quiet night became another social media trial. His last name turned every ordinary developmental step into national drama. But now, the excuse is gone. LeBron is no longer standing next to him in the locker room, no longer sitting 3 feet away on the bench, no longer protecting the story with his presence. If Bronny stays in Los Angeles, he is no longer just part of the LeBron dream. He has to become his own NBA player in a Lakers organization, now turning toward Luka Dončić and a completely new future. And that is why this moment matters so much. The Lakers could have cut ties, they could have saved money, they could have treated Bronny as a symbol of the past and moved on cleanly. Instead, they kept him. That means someone inside that building looked past the noise, past the criticism, past the famous last name, and said, there is still something here worth developing. So the question is not just where LeBron goes next. The real question is what happens to Bronny now that the biggest shadow in basketball has finally moved away from him. Before we go deeper, tell me where you are watching from right now. Are you in Los Angeles, Cleveland, Golden State, or somewhere else? If you believe Bronny can prove he belongs without LeBron beside him, comment 1. If you think the Lakers only kept him because of his name, comment 2. And make sure you subscribe because this Lakers story is just getting started. LeBron closes the Hollywood door. For 8 years, LeBron James was not just a Laker. He was the gravity of the entire franchise. Every roster move, every coaching decision, every trade rumor, every championship expectation seemed to bend around him. When LeBron came to Los Angeles in 2018, it was never just about basketball. It was about power, legacy, business, Hollywood, and the next chapter of one of the greatest careers the sport had ever seen. And for a while, it worked. In 2020, inside the bubble, LeBron and Anthony Davis delivered banner number 17. That championship gave the entire experiment legitimacy. It proved that LeBron's move to Los Angeles was not just a brand decision, it was a winning decision. The Lakers were back on top, and LeBron had added another massive piece to his legacy. But after that, the road became messy. Injuries kept interrupting the plan. Anthony Davis could look unstoppable one night and unavailable the next. Role players came and went, coaches changed. The roster kept getting rebuilt, rebranded, and re-explained. Every season started with belief, but almost every ending came with frustration. Then came Luka Dončić. The moment Luka entered the Lakers' timeline, the center of power quietly began to shift. LeBron, still brilliant, still historic, still capable of controlling games in ways almost nobody else could. But he was no longer the future. Luka was younger, fresher, and built to carry the next era. That reality may have been impossible to ignore. LeBron adjusted. He played off the ball more. He lowered his usage. He tried to fit beside Luka and keep the Lakers dangerous. For stretches, it looked magical. 2 generational minds reading the floor together, bending defenses, creating moments that reminded everyone why stars still matter. But the championship did not come. The Lakers hit their ceiling. The West was too deep. The roster was not complete enough. And when the season ended, the question became unavoidable. Was LeBron staying to chase one more ring in a city that had already started building around someone else? The answer came cold and clean. He was moving on. No long farewell tour. No dramatic meeting. No emotional sit down with the front office. Just the message that it was time. And for a franchise that had spent nearly a decade orbiting around him, that silence was louder than any speech. Because LeBron leaving did not just end an era. It forced the Lakers to admit that the future had already begun without him. Bronny stays in the building. While LeBron prepared to walk away, Bronny James stayed exactly where the spotlight was hottest. That is what makes this story so strange. Usually, when a superstar leaves, the emotional leftovers leave with him. The role players tied to his timeline become expendable. The roster gets cleaned out, the franchise turns the page and removes anything that feels connected to the old era. But the Lakers did not remove Bronny. They guaranteed him. And that decision changed the entire conversation. For 2 seasons, Bronny's identity in Los Angeles was almost impossible to separate from his father. He was LeBron's son. LeBron's teammate, LeBron's dream made real. The kid who stepped onto an NBA court beside his father and made history in purple and gold. But now, the story is different. LeBron is gone. Bronny remains. And suddenly, the question becomes sharper than ever. Who is Bronny James when he is not standing beside the most famous basketball player alive? That is a heavy question for a 2-1-year-old, because Bronny is not entering year 3 with normal pressure. He is entering it with every critic waiting to say, now we'll see. Every person who claimed he only got drafted because of LeBron will be watching. Every fan who rolled their eyes at his contract will be waiting for proof. Every quiet game will still become a topic. Every strong game will become a counter-argument. But that is also what makes this opportunity so powerful. For the first time, Bronny has a chance to build his own basketball identity inside the Lakers organization. Not as a family storyline, not as a marketing moment, not as the son who helped LeBron make history. As a young guard trying to earn minutes on a team with real playoff expectations. The Lakers could have moved on from him. They could have said the father-son chapter was complete. They could have saved money, opened a spot, and avoided the noise. Instead, they chose to keep working with him. That matters because teams do not keep developmental players forever just for sentiment. Not when the roster is shifting, not when the franchise is trying to build around Luka, not when every dollar and every roster spot has to matter. So Bronny staying is not just a small contract note. It is a test. A test of Bronny's growth. A test of the Lakers' evaluation. A test of whether a famous name can finally become just a name on the back of a jersey. And this time, there is no LeBron beside him to absorb the heat. The name that became a target. Bronny James was never allowed to develop quietly. That is the part people forget. Most late second-round picks enter the NBA almost invisibly. They go to Summer League. They spend time in the G League. They get called up, sent down, tested, corrected, and rebuilt away from the national spotlight. Nobody turns every 7-minute appearance into a national argument. But Bronny never had that luxury. From the second the Lakers drafted him with the 55th pick, the debate was already waiting. Some fans did not see a young prospect. They saw privilege. They saw LeBron's influence. They saw a franchise making a move to satisfy its superstar. And the word followed him everywhere. Nepotism. It became the label people used before they ever really watched the development. It followed every missed jumper, every turnover, every short stint in the G League, every quiet box score. If Bronny scored 2 points, the internet laughed. If he played limited minutes, people said he did not belong. If he got called up, people said it was because of his father. If he got sent down, people said it proved the same thing. There was no winning the conversation, but there was still work to do. Inside the building, the Lakers were not judging him the way social media judged him. They were watching the small things. Defensive, positioning, conditioning, shot preparation, how quickly he processed the floor, whether he could survive against stronger guards, whether he could handle mistakes without shrinking. That is the difference between online reaction and real evaluation. Bronny's numbers were never explosive. Nobody can pretend they were. His rookie stats were quiet, his NBA role was limited. His G League production showed more promise, but translating that to the NBA is never simple. Still, the tools were there. A strong frame for a young guard, a long wingspan, defensive instincts, a willingness to play without demanding touches, a jumper that started showing signs of real progress. Those are not superstar traits, but they are NBA survival traits. And for a player like Bronny, survival is the first step. The problem is that his last name made survival look like failure to people expecting fireworks. They did not compare him to other 55th picks. They compared him to the weight of the James legacy. That was never fair. But fairness has never been part of Bronny's NBA story. The pressure was the price of the name. And now, with LeBron gone, Bronny has a chance to do something he has never truly been allowed to do. Make the name feel like his own. The comeback beneath the criticism. Before Bronny James ever had to survive NBA criticism, he had to survive something much bigger than basketball. That is the part of his story that should never be treated like a footnote. Before the Lakers, before the draft, before the father-son history, before the accusations and jokes and online arguments, Bronny's future nearly stopped before it really began. During his time at USC, he experienced a serious health scare that shook the basketball world and forced everyone to remember that behind the famous name was still a young man fighting for his life and his dream. When he came back, nothing about the path was easy. He missed time. He had to rebuild rhythm. He had to regain trust in his body. He had to return to a game that moves faster than almost anything in sports, while also carrying more attention than most college players could ever imagine. And somehow, he still made it to the NBA. That does not mean he was ready to dominate. He was not. It does not mean the criticism disappeared. It got louder. But it does mean that the simple version of the story that Bronny was handed everything misses something important. He had to fight his way back to the court. He had to stand in front of cameras when people doubted him. He had to play through the awkwardness of limited minutes. He had to accept G League assignments that the public treated like humiliation, even though those assignments are exactly how young players grow. That takes mental toughness. And that toughness is probably one of the reasons the Lakers still believe in him. Because development is not only about talent, it is about response. How does a player respond when he gets embarrassed? How does he respond when he is criticized? How does he respond when the world thinks his spot belongs to someone else? Bronny kept showing up. In the G League, he looked freer, more aggressive, more confident. He handled the ball more. He created more. He scored more. He played like someone trying to prove that there was a real player underneath all the noise. Then, when the Lakers needed bodies late in the season, he gave them minutes that mattered. Not superstar minutes, not highlight reel dominance, but useful, focused, professional minutes. For a young guard trying to earn trust, that matters. Because the NBA does not ask every player to become a star. Sometimes it asks a player to defend, make open shots, protect the ball, bring energy, and not break the system. That is the path in front of Bronny. And after everything he has already come back from, counting him out now feels a little too easy. Why the Lakers still said yes. The most important word in this entire story is not LeBron. It is yes. When the Lakers had a chance to move on from Bronny James, they said yes to keeping him, yes to another season, yes to another year of development, yes to the pressure, the noise, the debate, and the questions that come with him. That answer was not accidental. From a business standpoint, Bronny's contract is not heavy enough to damage the Lakers' plans. At around $2.3 million, he is not blocking a major signing. He is not preventing a trade. He is not eating the kind of cap space that forces a franchise into painful decisions. He is cheap, young, and controllable. In today's NBA, that matters. Teams built around superstars need players like that. Not every roster spot can be filled by expensive veterans. Not every contributor can be a major name. Championship teams need low-cost players who know their role, defend, improve, and stay ready. That is where Bronny's value becomes clearer. He does not need the ball to be useful. That is important on a team built around Luka Dončić. Luka will control possessions. Luka will bend defenses. Luka will create the rhythm. The players around him must defend, space the floor, cut, make quick decisions, and accept that some nights their job will not look glamorous. Bronny can grow into that kind of player. The Lakers are not betting on him becoming LeBron. That would be ridiculous. They are betting on him becoming playable, a rotation guard, a defensive piece, a low-cost contributor who can give them energy and maybe grow into something more. And for that kind of bet, the price is worth it. The bigger message is what the guarantee says about trust. The Lakers have watched Bronny in practice. They have watched him behind closed doors. They have seen the habits fans do not see. They know whether he works. They know whether he listens. They know whether he competes. And after seeing all of that, they chose to keep him. That is not proof he will succeed, but it is proof the Lakers believe the story is not finished. Now, the responsibility shifts to Bronny. The organization has given him another runway. The critics have been given another season to watch. The opportunity is real, but so is the pressure. Because when a franchise says yes to you in a moment this loud, eventually you have to answer back with your game. The Luka Dončić era changes everything. The Lakers are no longer living in LeBron's world. They are building in Luka Dončić. That sentence changes everything for Bronny James. Because the post-LeBron Lakers are not simply replacing one star with another. They are changing the entire shape of the franchise. LeBron's teams were built around power, intelligence, transition pressure, and his ability to control every emotional and tactical part of a game. Luka's teams are different. They live through pace manipulation, spacing, ball dominance, half-court creation, and surgical decision-making. That means every player around Luka must fit a very specific job. Can you shoot when the pass finally comes? Can you defend when Luka is targeted? Can you run the floor without needing touches? Can you make the right decision in half a second? Can you stay mentally sharp even if you do not touch the ball for 5 possessions? That is the new test for Bronny. And surprisingly, his profile may fit better than people think. He is not a high usage guard. He does not need the offense built around him. He has shown defensive tools. His three-point shot has improved. He can play a low-maintenance role if the Lakers trust him enough to put him on the floor. That is exactly the kind of player Luka needs around him. But fit on paper is not enough. Bronny has to make the shot when the defense leaves him. He has to hold up when bigger guards attack him. He has to prove he can handle pressure without rushing. He has to become reliable enough that the coaching staff does not hesitate when his number is called. That is where year 3 becomes massive. LeBron's exit creates space, but space is not the same as opportunity unless a player is ready to take it. The Lakers may add more talent. They may chase centers, wings, and shooters. The roster could become more crowded, not less. Bronny will not be handed minutes just because his contract is guaranteed. He has to force the issue. Still, this version of the Lakers gives him something valuable. A clearer lane. No more father-son storyline dominating every game. No more LeBron camera cut every time Bronny checks in. No more question of whether his minutes are connected to family history. Now, if he plays, it will be because the Lakers believe he can help Luka's team win. That is a different kind of pressure. But it is also a cleaner kind of pressure. For the first time, Bronny's path is not tied to LeBron's dream. It is tied to Luka's system, the Lakers' future, and his own development. That might be exactly what he needs. The rumors that refuse to disappear. Even with Bronny guaranteed in Los Angeles, the trade rumors are not going away. They never do when LeBron James is involved. The moment LeBron leaves the Lakers, every possible destination becomes more than a basketball story. Golden State becomes a fantasy. Cleveland becomes a full circle ending. Every contender becomes a possible stage for one last run. And because Bronny is still in the league, still young, still connected to his father's legacy, people immediately ask the same question. Could he follow LeBron? That question is dangerous because it pulls Bronny back into the shadow he is trying to escape. If LeBron lands with the Warriors, the idea writes itself. LeBron with Steph Curry, LeBron with Draymond Green, one of the most dramatic late career super team stories the NBA could possibly create. And then, somewhere in the background, the possibility of Bronny being traded to Golden State to reunite with his father becomes instant headline fuel. If LeBron returns to Cleveland, the emotional pull is even stronger. The city where everything began, the franchise that watched him become a legend, the chance to finish the story at home. And if Bronny were somehow part of that final chapter, the narrative would be almost too perfect for television. But the Lakers have leverage now. Bronny is guaranteed. He is not just a loose piece floating around. Any move would require a real decision, a trade, a negotiation, a reason. And that is where this becomes complicated. Do the Lakers see Bronny as a player they want to develop? The contract says yes. Do they also know that his name carries value in the right LeBron-related scenario? Of course. That is the reality of the NBA. Players are people, but they are also assets. Stories matter, relationships matter, timing matters. Bronny could become a young guard the Lakers want to keep, or he could become part of a larger LeBron conversation without ever asking for it. That is the uncomfortable truth. For now, there is no clear sign that Bronny wants out. He knows Los Angeles. He knows the staff. He has spent 2 seasons inside that organization. Starting over somewhere else might sound exciting, but it would also mean learning a new system, new expectations, and possibly dealing with the same father-son circus all over again. Staying might actually be the braver move, because if Bronny stays in Los Angeles while LeBron chases another ring somewhere else, he is choosing the harder road. He is choosing to be judged alone. He is choosing to prove that his career can continue even when the family storyline splits apart. And that may be the only way he ever truly becomes his own player. The season that defines Bronny. Year 3 is no longer just another season for Bronny James. It is the season. The first 2 years came with explanations. He was young, he was recovering, he was adjusting, he was stuck behind veterans, he was bouncing between the Lakers and the G League. He was playing under the brightest spotlight any second-round pick had ever faced. But year 3 is different. Now, the Lakers have made a real decision. They guaranteed the contract. They kept him after LeBron's exit. They placed him inside the new version of the franchise. That means the next step cannot just be potential. It has to become production. Not star production, useful production. Can Bronny defend at the point of attack? Can he hit corner threes? Can he bring energy off the bench? Can he run a second unit for a few minutes without the offense falling apart? Can he earn trust in games where the Lakers are not just experimenting, but trying to win? Those are the questions that will define him, and the answers will come fast. In the NBA, patience exists, but it does not last forever. Developmental players eventually hit the moment where the organization stops asking what they might become and starts asking what they are right now. Bronny is approaching that moment. The Lakers do not need him to be spectacular. They need him to be playable. That may sound simple, but on a team with championship ambitions, being playable is hard. Every defensive mistake gets punished. Every hesitation matters. Every misrotation can cost a game. The difference between a young prospect and a real rotation player is consistency. That is what Bronny must find. His improvement as a shooter gives him a path. His defensive tools give him another. His experience under pressure gives him something most young players do not have. He has already heard the worst noise. He has already been doubted publicly. He has already played while millions of people questioned whether he belonged. Now he has to turn all of that into edge. Because the most powerful answer to criticism is not a quote. It is not a social media post. It is not an emotional interview. It is minutes earned. If Bronny earns a real role, the conversation changes overnight. The same people who laughed will start saying they always saw the potential. The same analysts who questioned the contract will call it smart value. The same fans who doubted him will start looking for highlight. But if he does not take the leap, the noise returns louder than ever. That is the pressure of this season. Bronny James does not have to become his father. He just has to prove he belongs in the league his father helped define. The lesson behind the split. The biggest lesson in this story is simple. Legacy can open a door, but it cannot keep that door open forever. LeBron James gave the Lakers a championship, a historic era, and a father-son moment the NBA had never seen before. But now his Los Angeles chapter is closing, and the franchise is moving into a new future built around Luka Dončić. Bronny James, meanwhile, is staying behind, and that changes everything. For the first time, Bronny has a chance to be judged as his own player. Not just LeBron's son, not just the 55th pick, not just a symbol of a family dream. He is now a young Lakers guard trying to prove he belongs in the league without his father beside him every night. That will not be easy. The pressure will still be there. The critics will still watch every mistake. The questions about his name, his contract, and his place on the roster will not disappear overnight. But this is also his cleanest opportunity yet. The Lakers kept him because they believe there is something worth developing. Now Bronny has to reward that belief with defense, shooting, discipline, and real rotation minutes. For the Lakers, this is a strategic test. They cannot live in the LeBron era forever. If Luka is the future, every roster decision must support that future. Bronny only makes sense if he helps the team grow, not because of sentiment, history, or headline. But fans should also remember the human side. Bronny is a young player carrying impossible expectations. LeBron is a legend trying to write one final chapter. The Lakers are a franchise trying to move forward without disrespecting the past. Nobody in this story needs to be attacked. This is basketball, legacy, pressure, family, and business all colliding at once. LeBron goes one way. Bronny stays in Los Angeles, and now both of them must prove something different. The father is chasing one last mountain. The son is trying to build his own name, and the Lakers are trying to turn a painful ending into a new beginning. So now I want to hear from you. Comment 1 if you believe Bronny James can become a real Lakers rotation player without LeBron beside him. Comment 2 if you think the pressure will be too much. Like this video, share it with another NBA fan, and subscribe to the channel, because the next Lakers chapter may be even more dramatic than the last one.